Oh, welcome to the Hunter Tale podcast. Guys, I am excited. Why am I excited for this episode? Because I'm going to share with you something that I love. Books. You know, people always say, and I think this is maybe like a fuck you to those people, which is if you want to hide something from a black man, put it inside of a book. That's what people say, right? If you're trying to hide from me, don't put it in a book because I'm going to find it. I want to share with you guys the 5 books that fucked up my ability to be satisfied with life. I'm not telling you guys to read these books. Trust me. If you are satisfied with your existence and you're happy just moseying through the world, do not read this book. Do not read these books. Heed my warning. Do not read these books. But if you do, you will enjoy them. First book. Number 5, A Short Stay in Hell. First of all, guys, I did an episode already breaking down the way that A Short Stay in Hell destroyed my paradigm of hell and my paradigm of heaven. As I finished that book, which is only like a 100-page, 200-page read, it took me through so many stages of misery and then excitement and then confusion, and then it brought me to a place that I had never been before. Acceptance. Acceptance that this existence is heaven. Because our ability to know that it is going to end is what makes it meaningful. And something without meaning that you are continually engulfed in, that's hell. That's hell. Number 4, Ishmael. Shout out to my boy Eduardo the cameraman, Eduardo the editor, and Mr. Ishmael himself. This is actually how we had a friendship. Is he said the only way that he would allow for me, right? He ain't never been that bold in his life. The only way he would allow me to interview him is if I read this book. And so, as I read this book, it was of a thought process that I had already kind of become familiar with, but it was so well done. It uses this teacher who's teaching this pupil ultimately what it means to live in accordance to nature, what it means to be hunter-gatherers. Because very often we think about our past, right? And we tend to go back to Egypt or the Bronze Age or even the Dark Age. But we rarely go back to the hunter-gatherer age, the one where we lived in communal, the one where every single day meant something. Why? Because it's in connection to your ability to survive. How many people wake up on a daily basis, drink their coffee, have their food, enjoy some sex, watch some TV, then go back to sleep and do it again? Where was the meaning in that? How many years go by that you look and go, what did I do? That's where Ishmael comes and says, there's a reason why. Enjoy. And the story is spoken to you from the gorilla. Number 3, Stop Acting Rich. Stop Acting Rich. I read this book in college. But it is literature that's trying to explain the way in which our world leads you to poverty. Because it's built on lies. Lies of what money means. Lies on the way that the rich perform. Because the fact that we understand most of our wealthy signals through performers shows that it's all an act. And that's what it's trying to tell you. Stop acting rich. Be rich. Because the way that rich people really behave is not what you see on TV. You might ask yourself, where do a majority of millionaires even come from? And the truth of the matter is, per capita, a majority of millionaires are the millionaire next door that you wouldn't even know was a millionaire. The guy who owns the plumbing enterprise with 100 different plumbers underneath his belt, or the teacher who invested because she was disciplined. What you see, which is the glittering rich, is nothing more than an illusion. And it's the illusion to keep you in bondage. Number 2. This is a fan favorite. The Red Book. Shout out to Carl Jung. Shout out to Carl Jung. Carl Jung was not the disciple of Sigmund Freud, but he ultimately became the challenger of Sigmund Freud. Not because he wanted to knock Sigmund Freud off of his high horse, but simply because he wanted to understand deeper than what was generally accepted. And even though we begin to find that all of the different philosophers were also diving into occult knowledge, going below the surface, they weren't sharing it with everyday man. Because this is where power lies. True power, power of spirit, power of God. Understanding God and being able to put God in your pocket is what the Red Book is all about. But once you dive into the Red Book, you are forced to begin to dive into yourself. And what they come to tell you, or what Carl Jung comes to tell you, is that Jesus had to go to hell in order to ascend to heaven. Honorable mentions. 1984, obviously 1984. It's just a problematic read. I read it during COVID, a terrible time to read 1984. We were all there. Nuclear war, nuclear war, nuclear war, guys. This book shows you the moment by moment by moment by moment steps of nuclear war would look like. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. The Game by Neil Strauss. The Game is one that is going to take most men and flip their world on its side, because the way in which we're raised through soap operas or Telemundo or any of the general mainstream understanding of male and female connection, The Game shows you that it's bullshit. The final book that is on my list of books that are going to up the way you look at life. It's my favorite book of all time. Civilized to Death. Civilized to Death wraps up a concept that is so grand, but it's us, and it's truly us. And it shows you the hypocrisy and the inalignment that our world currently exists in such a peculiar way that you understand it. And you go, oh, I can see that. Such as something so small as Nike, right? Nikes on our feet causes us to begin to get damaged because we begin to run different. Having cushion on your heel incentivizes you to run on your heel, even though our body and our leg structure has it so that we're landing on the palms of our feet. But that's the way our world works. We create devices that becomes a crutch that ultimately begins to hurt us in the end, that forces us to get more devices. Civilized to Death is monkeys in suits. We do for no real apparent reason, except because if we don't, what are we? And that is a list of my 5 problematic books if you want to just live a satisfied life. My name is Hunter Tale Johnson. Appreciate you being here.